Hey guys, it's Dan from Soileater, and welcome back to our One Take Wednesday series. Today will be episode 11, going over handcuffs as well as quick cuffs. Sorry for the little hiatus there. Life got busy, and hopefully we'll get back on track with getting these videos out once a week. So first thing I want to go over here, I'm going to keep these videos a little shorter. You guys have no attention span, so we'll get right to it. You see a lot of guys running quick cuffs, right? So these are Cobra Cuffs right here. You could purchase these. They come in a big box. These are just zip ties. I'm going to show you real quick how to stage these. And then you have your standard handcuffs here, right? So first thing I'm going to say, if you can avoid using any sort of quick cuffs, I highly recommend it, right? Ideally, you always want to use whatever handcuff you have the most reps with, as well as a set of just normal standard handcuffs. These are Peerless. This is what we're issued. They do have the chain in the middle. I know some guys really like the hinge cuff. These are just what we have to use per our general orders. So when it comes to quick cuffs and any restraints, right, they're temporary restraints. And I want to really harp on that, right? Like, when you put someone in handcuffs, just like applying a tourniquet, right? You constantly have to check it every time you move the person, every time you're moving them from the patrol car to the holding cell and whatnot, because again, they are temporary, right? There's plenty of people and plenty of information out there on the internet regarding picking these, shimming these, and whatnot. And when you move away from actual handcuffs and go into quick restraints, it's even easier, right? So we'll go over kind of the positives to these. The main thing is you guys have used these probably close to 1,000 times, if not more, right? Depending on how much time you have on the job, right? You have, let's say, thousands of reps on these, so they're quick to put on and they're quick to take off, right? If the person you're handcuffing is a little resistant still, right? Again, don't pull these handcuffs out until the person is under control. I see a lot of videos of guys like the dude's still fighting and grappling on the ground, and they're like pulling their cuffs, and they got their cuffs in their hand. It's a good way to get handcuffs stuck through your hand. Don't recommend that. So again, once the suspect is subdued, then we can apply these. But for someone who's still kind of a little resistant, standard cuffs are going to be a lot easier. All right. So I highly recommend that each of your guys on your patrol, on your TAC team, or on your SWAT team carry a set of cuffs. Yeah, they do weigh a little more, but the advantages of being able to quickly put these on is something that you're very familiar with, and quickly take them off, double locking them so that they don't tighten up anymore, so you don't have to worry about any sort of blood constraints on the arms and wrists. Just generally the better option. All right, we're not hiking through the mountains of Afghanistan and whatnot where you need all your kit super slick. So for the few ounces these weigh, I highly recommend a standard set of cuffs. The other options out there's a few I don't have just because we don't buy them on the team, and I couldn't track some down. But these are Cobra Cuffs, says it right on it. They come like this. You can essentially take the little rubber band, it's like a little hair tie rubber band. You can essentially take that off, 2 of them, like this, open them up, and you can slide them through MOLLE and then reattach the rubber band on the bottom. But to simply use these, you can just pop that rubber band off, break it. You're left with these, which you can open up. So you would stage these or prep these like this, all right? And then to tighten them up, you simply pull here. They will tighten up, and then there's a little black slider right here that when you push that in, it locks them tight, all right? A good way to do these, again, it's gonna be much more difficult when the person you're trying to arrest is still resisting a little bit. Especially when they have their fingers splayed, right? It's just easier to get these stuck on there. So if I can ever use any sort of cuffs, I'm going to use my standard ones, all right? But getting that out of the way, if I have to use these because we're out of cuffs for whatever reason, let's say a riot situation, anything like that, what you're going to want to do is, holding the person's hand, you can simply reach in and grab their hand like this, right? So what you're doing is you're grabbing all of their fingers and pulling them through. What that allows you to do is to not get caught on a finger, so it's a little easier. So again, whatever handcuffing position your defensive tactics and your general orders allow you to do, simply reach through, grab their fingers, pull them through, and then you can tighten it down by pulling it. All right, but again, follow your general orders, follow your standard operating procedures, all that stuff. I'm not here to tell you how your policy is. Our policy for any sort of quick cuff or restraint other than handcuffs is we have to mark it with a Sharpie with our badge number as well as our the time that we put them on, right? And again, you would check those very often. All right, they're not supposed to stay on someone without being supervised. So again, these are my last resort. But if I'm going to have to pick a set of cuffs other than handcuffs, these will probably be my go-to. The last ones here that I have for our team is essentially just thick zip ties. They have a little metal tooth in here, so the metal bite. For these, obviously, they come in a box with a bunch of these laying out. You're going to have to prep them, right? So on the back of my carrier here, I do carry 2 extra ones because sometimes we're in houses where, you know, there's 15, 20 people inside some of these trap houses and whatnot. So sometimes we do run out of metal cuffs, right? That being said, I have them staged, same thing. They're squished down and they just go in the back of a molly channel here. Simply pull them out like this. You have one interlaced with the other. You can see here, I took the edges of them and I folded them over like so, and then I tape them. And the reason I do that is it gives me a little grab point, and also it prevents them from poking, you know, these ends are a little pokey and stabbing and everything. But mostly you have a grab point here. Issues with these, along with the Cobra Cuffs, is you can already see here, any of those areas where they stay bent a lot, so it would be right here for the Cobra Cuffs, or it'd be right here for the zip ties. Depending on how much sun exposure they get or how old they are, they will dry rot and that will become a weak spot. So you want to be very careful that you replace these often. And again, that's why they're not my first pick. But if you were to use these, simply feed this through and start it. Get it right past to where the teeth are. So probably right around there. There's one. Take the other one, interlace it in here. Find the edge again right here, feed it through, right? And then you're left with 2 loops, all right? So these are started, they won't pull out here, right? Never pull out, 2 kids later. Won't pull out here, right? So these are ready to go. You could just do these quickly if you didn't have time and didn't want to spend the extra time folding those over. But I do find that especially with gloves on or wet conditions, pulling this is much harder than pulling here where you have a little tab, right? So again, anything I can do with any of my gear, if you haven't noticed already, I'm spending the time ahead of time to set myself up for when I'm under stress, when I'm under shitty weather conditions and shittier environments, all right? The other type of quick cuffs that are pretty standard are the ones that look similar to this, but in the middle, they've got like a hard piece of plastic. So it's 2 loops with a hard piece of plastic. Those work well also. They're already pre-staged. The difference with those compared to these 2 that I'm showing you here is that they're very bulky. There's no real way to slim those down. So if you have like a mobile field force or a riot control unit in your department, those work well if you have like a vehicle you can store them in. If not, these right here are pretty easy. You can grab a big carabiner, hook it to the APC railing that goes down your APC there, and you can put probably like 20 of these on there. We have 20 of them staged for riot control and that type of events. So hopefully that helps you guys. Again, I hope if you listen to anything on this video, basically it's that all of these can fail. They're very hard to keep nice and tight on the person. They're very difficult to put on with a combatant or with any sort of like passive resistance or anything like that. So again, if you have to restrain someone, highly recommend your standard department issued cuffs, as well as making sure that the overall mindset you have is that all of these are temporary restraints, right? Someone can still hurt you, someone can still kill you, someone can still escape while in any of these restraints. So make sure you're using good defensive tactics and good tactics in general to keep yourself safe. Until next time, take care.